Yeah, let's bring in Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor, publisher of The Federalist. Hey, Ben.
Great to be with you.
Good to have you here. So Dr. Fauci is saying that gun violence is a public health issue. Listen to this soundbite.
Is gun violence in the U.S. a public health emergency?
As a public health person, I think you can't run away from that. I mean, when you see people getting killed, I mean, in this last month, it's just been horrifying what's happened. How can you say that's not a public health issue?
Ben, do you think it is?
I'm sick and tired of this out of his depth bureaucrat, Dr. Fauci, feeling that he can just weigh in on any kind of matter socially and have a reaction from America's media and from politicians. He is completely out of his depth when it comes to almost any issue unrelated to this pandemic. And even within the pandemic, he's out of his depth when it comes to a lot of his intonations and his weighing-ins. Look, the fact is this guy has gotten out over his skis over and over and over again.
We pay the price, Ben.
He was wrong about school closings. He was wrong about our lockdowns. And in masks, he was wrong too. And the fact is that we shouldn't have bureaucrats who have so much faith in their own infallibility that they feel like they need to weigh in on every aspect of our lives. Look, I'm not trying to diminish this guy. He's someone who obviously has a lot more expertise than I do when it comes to medical affairs. But the fact that he's been built up by the media to this point where he's weighing in on everything as if he's some kind of vaunted saint who can do no wrong, it's really gone beyond the point of where we need to reel this back and say, hey, just remember, you're a bureaucrat. You work for us, not the other way around.
Forgot that a long time ago. Speaking of reeling things in and bringing them back from the precipice, New York City woke curriculum has gone so far that parents are starting to finally stand up and say something about it. One of those is Andrew Gutman, who wrote a letter to the Brearley School, which is an all-girls school here in New York, pointing out the way in which wokeness is infecting the curriculum. Here's a portion of what he wrote. He wrote, if the administration was genuinely serious about diversity, it would not insist on the indoctrination of its students and their families to a single mindset, most reminiscent of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Brearley's anti-racism policies are misguided, divisive, counterproductive, and cancerous. You know, Bari Weiss went on to talk about how, as a former editor of the New York Times, this stuff will never make the print of the New York Times, even though it's one of the biggest stories, the fact that parents and teachers are fighting back. Your take on this moment?
You know, I love Barry. She's a friend of mine, and I'm glad that she's highlighting this. We are reaching a point in America right now where this anti-racism religion is being used to crush people, to actually go into their work, into their schools, indoctrinate their children, and teach them that, you know, all of these different things that we have valued in America over the past century and plus are wrong, are racist, are founded in bigotry. This is a lie. It's propaganda. It's something that is being used by all of these different Marxists, you know, across all of our different political debates in order to try to indoctrinate another generation of Americans, and we have to fight back against it. Unfortunately, we've reached a point where these institutions have been taken over by the left. We have to acknowledge that, and we have to recognize it. We can't treat it as anything different than indoctrination, propaganda, and lies.
And get a plan to push back and get on school boards across America, big and small. Ben, we're going to watch you tonight at 7.
Absolutely.
And if we don't get enough of Ben in the morning and Ben at night, what about Ben all the time on Ben Domenech's podcast on FoxNewsPodcast.com? And then we'll see you on primetime tonight. Ben, that's a lot of you. Are you ready to produce like this?
I'm doing my best, man. I'm just holding on for dear life.
You're doing good. Thanks,
and
Ben.
Waking up early for us.
Yeah.
He'll be on primetime tonight. I know. Thanks, Ben.